Benin, country of Western Africa. It consists of a narrow wedge of territory extending northward for about 420 miles, 675 kilometers, from the Gulf of Guinea in the Atlantic Ocean, on which it has a 75-mile seacoast, to the Niger River, which forms part of Benin's northern border with Niger. Benin is bordered to the northwest by Burkina Faso, to the east by Nigeria, and to the west by Togo. The official capital is Porto Novo, but Cotonou is Benin's largest city, its chief port, and its de facto administrative capital. Benin was a French colony from the late 19th century until 1960. Benin, officially the Republic of Benin, formerly known as Dahomey, is a country in West Africa. Benin is bordered by Togo to the west, Nigeria to the east, Burkina Faso to the northwest, and Niger to the northeast. The majority of its population lives on the southern coastline of the Bight of Benin, part of the Gulf of Guinea in the northernmost tropical portion of the Atlantic Ocean. The capital is Porto Novo, and the seat of government is in Cotonou, the most populous city and economic capital. Benin covers an area of 112,622 square kilometers, 43,484 square miles, and its population in 2021 was estimated to be approximately 13 million. It is a tropical country with an economy heavily dependent on agriculture and the exports of palm oil and cotton. From the 17th to the 19th centuries, political entities in the area included the Kingdom of Dahomey, the city-state of Porto Novo, and other states to the north. France took over the territory in 1894, incorporating it into French West Africa as French Dahomey. In 1960, Dahomey gained full independence from France. As a sovereign state, Benin has had democratic governments, military coups, and military governments. A self-described Marxist, Leninist state called the People's Republic of Benin existed between 1975 and 1990. In 1991, it was replaced by the multi-party Republic of Benin. The official language of Benin is French, with indigenous languages such as Fon, Bariba, Yoruba, and Dendi also spoken. The largest religious group in Benin, as projected for 2020 by Pew Research Group based on 2010 statistics, is Christianity, 52.2%, followed by Islam, 24.6%, and African traditional religions, 17.9%. Benin is a member of the United Nations, the African Union, the Economic Community of West African States, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the South Atlantic Peace and Cooperation Zone, Francophonie, the Community of Sahel, Saharan States, the African Petroleum Producers Association and the Niger Basin Authority. It is bounded by Togo to the west, Burkina Faso and Niger to the north, Nigeria to the east, and the Bight of Benin to the south. The distance from the Niger River in the north to the Atlantic Ocean in the south is about 650 kilometers, 404 miles. Although the coastline measures 121 kilometers, 75 miles, the country measures about 325 kilometers, 202 miles at its widest point. 4 terrestrial ecoregions lie within Benin's borders: Eastern Guinean forests, Nigerian lowland forests, Guinean forest savanna mosaic, and West Sudanese savanna. It had a 2018 Forest Landscape Integrity Index mean score of 5.86/10, ranking it 93rd globally out of 172 countries. Benin shows some variation in elevation and can be divided into 4 areas from the south to the north, starting with the lower-lying, sandy, coastal plain, highest elevation 10 meters 32.8 feet, which is, at most, 10 kilometers 6.2 miles wide. It is marshy and dotted with lakes and lagoons communicating with the ocean. Behind the coast lies the Guinean forest savanna mosaic-covered plateaus of southern Benin, altitude between 20 and 200 m, 66 and 656 feet, which are split by valleys running north to south along the Kufo, Zo, and Aum rivers. This geography makes it vulnerable to climate change. With the majority of the country living near the coast in lower-lying areas, sea level rise could affect the economy and population. Northern areas will see additional regions become deserts. An area of flatter land dotted with rocky hills whose altitude reaches 400 meters 1,312 feet extends around Niki and Save. A range of mountains extends along the northwest border and into Togo. These are the Adasora. The highest point, Mont Sokboro, is at 658 meters 2,159 feet. Benin has fields, mangroves, and remnants of forests. In the rest of the country, the savanna is covered with thorny scrub and dotted with baobab trees. Some forests line the banks of rivers. In the north and the northwest of Benin, the reserve du Niger and Pendiari National Park has African bush elephants, lions, antelopes, hippopotamus, and monkeys. Pendiari National Park together with the bordering parks Arli and W National Park in Burkina Faso and Niger are among the strongholds of the lion in West Africa, with an estimated 246 to 466 lions. Arli Pendiari harbors the largest remaining lion population in West Africa. Historically, Benin has served as habitat for the endangered African wild dog, Lycaon pictus. This canid is thought to have been locally extinct. Annual rainfall in the coastal area averages 1,300 millimeters or about 51 inches. Benin has 2 rainy and 2 dry seasons per year. The principal rainy season is from April to late July, with a shorter, less intense rainy period from September to November. The main dry season is from December to April, with a cooler dry season from July to September. Temperatures and humidity are higher along the tropical coast. In Cotonou, the average maximum temperature is 31 degrees Celsius 87.8 degrees Fahrenheit, the minimum is 24 degrees Celsius 75.2 degrees Fahrenheit. Variations in temperature increase when moving north through savanna and plateau toward the Sahel. A dry wind from the Sahara called the harmattan blows from December to March. When the grass dries up, other vegetation turns reddish-brown, and a veil of fine dust hangs over the country, causing the skies to be overcast. It is also the season when farmers burn brush in the fields. In Benin, forest cover is around 28% of the total land area, equivalent to 3,135,150 hectares, of forest in 2020, down from 4,835,150 hectares, in 1990. In 2020, naturally regenerating forests covered 3,112,150 hectares, and planted forests covered 23,000 hectares, Benin's politics take place in a framework of a presidential representative democratic republic in which the president of Benin is both head of state and head of government, within a multi-party system. Executive power is exercised by the government. Legislative power is vested in the government and the legislature. The judiciary is officially independent of the executive and the legislature, while in practice its independence has been gradually hollowed out by Talon, and the Constitutional Court is headed by his former personal lawyer. The political system is derived from the 1990 Constitution of Benin and the subsequent transition to democracy in 1991. It was ranked 18th out of 52 African countries and scored best in the categories of safety and rule of law and participation and human rights. In its 2007 Worldwide Press Freedom Index, Reporters Without Borders ranked Benin 53rd out of 169 countries. That place had fallen to 78th by 2016, when Talon took office, and has fallen further to 113th. Benin has been rated equal 88th out of 159 countries in a 2005 analysis of police, business, and political corruption. Its democratic system has eroded since President Talon took office. In 2018, his government introduced new rules for fielding candidates and raised the cost of registering. The Electoral Commission, packed with Talon's allies, barred all opposition parties from the parliamentary election in 2019, resulting in a parliament made up entirely of supporters of Talon. That parliament subsequently changed election laws such that presidential candidates need to have the approval of at least 10% of Benin's MPs and mayors. As parliament and most mayors' offices are controlled by Talon, he has control over who can run for president. These changes have drawn condemnation from international observers and led to the United States government partially terminating development assistance to the country. The majority of Benin's 11,485,000 inhabitants live in the south of the country. The life expectancy is 62 years. About 42 African ethnic groups live in this country, including the Yoruba in the southeast, migrated from Nigeria in the 12th century, the Dendi in the north-central area, who came from Mali in the 16th century, the Bariba and the Fula in the northeast, the Beta Maribi and the Samba in the Atakara Mountains, the Fon in the area around Abomi in the south-central, and the Mina, Sweda, and Aya, who came from Togo, on the coast. The personnel of European embassies and foreign aid missions and of non-governmental organizations and missionary groups account for a part of the 5,500 European population. Non-Africans include Europeans, Lebanese people, and South Asians. Local languages are used as the many languages of instruction in elementary schools, with French introduced in later years. At the secondary school level, French is the sole language of instruction. The two main religions in Benin are Christianity, followed mostly in the south and center, and Islam, brought by the Songhai Empire and Hausa merchants and followed in Alabori, Borgu, and Donga provinces, as well as among the Yoruba, who also practice Christianity. Benin consists of 5 natural regions. The coastal region is low, flat, and sandy, backed by tidal marshes and lagoons. It is composed of, in effect, a long sandbar on which grow clumps of coconut palms. The lagoons are narrower in the western part of the country, where many have become marshes because of silting, and wider in the east, and some are interconnected. In the west the Grand Popo Lagoon extends into neighboring Togo, while in the east the Porto Novo Lagoon provides a natural waterway to the port of Lagos, Nigeria, although its use is discouraged by the political boundary. Only at Grand Popo and at Cotonou do the lagoons have outlets to the sea. Behind the coastal region extends the Bar country, the word being a French adaptation of the Portuguese word barro, clay. A fertile plateau, the Bar region contains the Lama Marsh, a vast swampy area stretching from Abomi to Alada. The landscape is generally flat, although occasional hills occur, rising to about 1,300 feet, 400 meters. The Benin Plateaus, 4 in number, are to be found in the environs of Abomi, Ketu, Apleu, or Paraha, and Zagnanado. The plateaus consist of clays on a crystalline base. The Abomi, Apleu, and Zagnanado plateaus are from 300 to 750 feet high, and the Ketu plateau is up to 500 feet in height. The Atakara Mountains, in the northwest of the country, form a continuation of the Togo Mountains to the south. Running southwest to northeast and reaching an altitude of 2,103 feet, 641 meters, at their highest point, they consist of a highly metamorphosed quartzite interior. The Niger Plains, in the northeast of Benin, slope down to the Niger River Valley. They consist of clayey sandstones. Apart from the Niger River, which, with its tributaries the Mikro, Alabori, and Soda, drains the northeastern part of the country, the 3 principal rivers in Benin are the Mano, the Kufo, and the Elm. The Mano, which rises in Togo, forms the frontier between Togo and Benin near the coast. The Kufo, near which stands Abomi, flows southward from the Benin plateaus to drain into the coastal lagoons at Ahim. The Elm rises in the Atakara Mountains and flows southward for 280 miles, near its mouth it divides into 2 branches, one draining to the east into Porto Novo Lagoon and the other to the west into Noka Lake. The Atakara Mountains form a divide between the Volta and Niger basins. Most of the country's population is concentrated in the lower southern portion of the country, which makes up roughly 1/4 of the country's total area but is inhabited by more than 2/3 of the total population. Nearly half of Benin's population is urban and is concentrated mostly in Cotonou, the country's largest city. Since independence, Benin's regular and developmental budgets have been dependent on external support, primarily from France and international organizations. This support has rendered a little less painful the formidable economic stagnation and low standard of living of the overwhelming majority of the population. The regime that came to power in a 1972 coup attempted from 1975 to restructure the economy more or less along socialist principles and to disengage from dependence on France. Most sectors of the economy were nationalized or otherwise turned over to government control, and economic relations were established with the Soviet Union and other socialist countries, as well as with Benin's neighbors. By the early 1980s it was clear that though the economy was restructured and, at least on paper, more efficient and diversified and France's contribution to Benin's economy diminished, corruption persisted and that the overall economic situation had not improved. Liberalization of the economy in the mid-1980s also failed to produce positive results. Accompanying changes in the constitution and regime in the early 1990s, the remnants and slogans of Marxism were wiped out, and privatization of the economy began. The few stretches of tropical forest that remain in Benin, mostly in the southwest and central areas, contain mahogany, iroko, teak, samba, and other tropical hardwoods. The rivers and lagoons are rich in fish. Mineral deposits include iron ore both in the Atakara Mountains and northeast of Kundi, limestone deposits at Anigbalo, chromium ore, and a little gold in the northwest near Nataitingu, marble at Dajo, an important deposit of pottery clay at Sakit, and ilmenite, a mineral source of titanium, near the coast. Offshore oil was discovered in 1968 in the Seme field near Cotonou and has been exploited since 1982. About 70% of the working population depends on agriculture. Since the mid-1980s Benin has produced yams, cassava, corn, maize, millet, beans, and rice to achieve self-sufficiency in staple foods. Among cash crops, the formerly predominant palm product output declined considerably in the 1980s, but cotton output rose. The output of carite, peanuts, ground nuts, cacao beans, and coffee also has increased. Livestock include cattle, sheep and goats, pigs, horses, and poultry. Substantial quantities of fish are caught annually in the lagoons and rivers, while coastal fishing produces a smaller, but growing, amount. Most of the fish is exported to Nigeria or Togo. Shrimp and deep-sea fishing are developing, using modern vessels. Manufacturing plants and secondary industries include several palm oil processing plants in Ahosan, Avrancao, Bahican, Cotonou, Gbata, and Pobe, cement plants at Anigbalo and Pobe, several cotton ginning facilities in the north, a textile mill at Parika, a sugar refining complex at Save, a soft drink plant, a brewery, and 2 shrimp processing plants. Electricity is generated thermally by plants located at Bahican, Parika, Cotonou, and Porto Novo. About half of Benin's demand for electricity is met by importing power from Ghana's Volta River project at Akosombo. In 1988 operations commenced at the hydroelectric installation of the Mono River Dam, a joint venture between Benin and Togo on their common southern boundary. Benin's export earnings rely on agricultural products, such as cotton, palm oil, cocoa, and coffee, exported to such countries as India, Malaysia, and Bangladesh. Informal trade, smuggling, across the border with Nigeria has also affected Benin's negative trade balance. One of Benin's main, albeit underexploited, trade assets is the deep water port at Cotonou, which serves as a sea outlet for the Republic of Niger and as a secondary port for Nigeria and thus holds a potential to earn lucrative customs duties. Benin has traditionally imported various manufactured products, machinery, chemicals, beverages, and tobacco, as well as cereals. Benin sources its imports from several countries, including India, Thailand, and France. There are 2 paved, mostly 2-lane, road networks. One runs parallel to the coast of the Gulf of Guinea from the Togo-Lace border, through Cotonou and near Porto Novo, to the Nigerian border. The other road runs north from Cotonou, near Abomi and Dassa, to Parika in the north. Roads from Paraka to Niger's border and from near Abomey to Burkina Faso's border are unpaved and are barely passable in the rainy season. There is a railroad from Cotonou to Paraka. Another railroad, parallel to the coast, does not extend to either the Togolese or the Nigerian border. Interconnected coastal lagoons are navigable by small craft known as pirogues. The Aum, Kofo, and Mono rivers are navigable by small boats for several dozen miles. The country's only port is at Cotonou. An international airport in Cotonou links Benin with other countries of Africa and with Europe. There is also limited domestic airline service. Thank you for watching this video.